Louisiana versus all y'all. Jarrett Rosa with 2026 Captain Shreve star Jamarcea Plater, a guy who I've watched play an awful lot of defensive back and receiver, and now we're watching him on Friday nights tear up opponents as a running back with over 1,500 yards the first 6 weeks of the season. And so we're going to talk a lot about that positional transition, his kind of perspective on playing in this chaotic 1-5A district where people are scoring on each other and putting up crazy numbers every Friday night, as well as some exciting news, knowing that some colleges are starting to take a little bit of notice of Jamarcea. And man, congrats on the latest one. We're going to get into it in a little bit more detail, but how's everything been going up your way so far this season?
Everything been going great so far, with me and the team, we've been going through a lot of tough games lately, putting up 50, 60, 70 points 3 weeks in a row. It's been real tough because, we really had to step up, think differently going into majority of these games, especially versus Airline and Evangel, with them high-scoring games, very close ending games, very nerve-wracking games. It really brought the dog out of us and, really had to put us in that mindset.
I wanted to give you a hard time because when I saw you were working at running back in the spring, I knew big things were coming, and we didn't get a chance to link up and do this interview then because you were really busy with track. And so then I saw a reporter from Oklahoma on Friday tweeting, "Allow me to introduce you to Jamarcea Plater." And I was texting coaches up there like, "Man, we know about Jamarcea. We don't need y'all from Oklahoma to let us know because we kind of know what you're capable of." But what is, I guess, going back to this offseason, spring ball, summer, whatever it may be, what was the preparation like for you to just kind of make that adjustment in terms of, A, you guys were going through a coaching change, so some things were changing there, but B, for you tackling a different position than had been your primary position thus far in high school? Just kind of what did the work look like for you to be ready to be this guy for your team?
Well, honestly, the work that it took for me to really be that, that person for my team, it took a lot. Cause knowing that I was known to be playing DB for since my freshman year, and it really was a big swing. Cause the new head coach, he heard about stuff about me in middle school, about me playing running back. He took me in on a meeting one day. He was like, "Hey, you think you can play running back?" And I was like, "Yeah, I can do it." I was doing anything that could help us get a district title, win a state championship. Basically, you could throw me anywhere. I was just going to do it. And I had the opportunity, and right now it's looking real good.
Yeah, I say, and just, letting folks know those stats. So far, 124 carries, 1,575 yards, and 20 touchdowns on the ground alone. You're up over 1,700 all-purpose yards at this point. And so your averages are up over 260 yards a game, nearly 13 yards a carry, and all of those things. You mentioned you had a background at some running back at a lower level. We mentioned you being in track. We know you've got the speed, the explosiveness, and those things. What were kind of the biggest learning processes for you in terms of taking on that role, things that were a little bit of, I guess, a process to be ready to do this, or did it all just kind of feel like it came right back pretty naturally?
Well, to be honest, it really just came back natural. Like, only thing that changed was, usually I'm just outrunning everybody. I'm using my speed to get past everybody. I was very impatient when I was a little bit younger. But now, like, as further on I got to the season, I realized, I got to stay true to the gap, be patient with my line, got to let the gaps, form. And, it's really been like, a different learning experience for me lately. But it really felt like home when I started back playing running back.
You end up with a school record 352 yards in the game this past week, a game that records were falling all over the place. We know about Pop Houston and his 800 plus passing yards for Evangel. Your guy, Brody Savage, sets a school record with his 462 yards passing. I'll talk about your performance in that game in a second, but just first of all, what was it like to be in that thing where y'all are back and forth and it was like a track meet for most of that game Thursday night?
That game, it was real hectic because it was a game where we was down by 20 during the half. And, it really took a good speech from one of our players in the locker room, to really wake us up. And also, as we got our halftime, it took a little bit for the coaches to realize, like, we need to put Plater at DB. I had to go in and help a little bit, but it most definitely slowed Evangel down a lot because it was going up on the scoreboard on us a lot. And, that game was just real hectic. It was all over the place. We scoring, throwing, running for 70 yards, throwing for 50 yards. It was like, it was a real fun game. It helped us. It helped us a lot further on in the season.
Both of you guys have had a lot of success offensively this season, talking about Shreve and Evangel, and there have been stretches of having trouble slowing people down. That's been an issue, I guess, for a lot of the 1-5A teams right now. But from y'all, from just what was working offensively on Thursday night, how would you kind of describe how it felt, what you were seeing, and what was working at such a high level for regardless of who was on the other side from y'all to to do what y'all were doing on your end?
So for us, it was really for us to really just stay true to our blocking assignments. Because not gonna lie, Evangel was sending a lot of heat. They were sending a lot of blitz off the edge, and me as a running back, not a lot of running backs like blocking, but not a lot of running backs like blocking 280-pound D tackle coming up the middle or a 250 DN linebacker coming in full speed while you had a staggering position. It was real hard that game. And we just had to stay true to our blocking assignments on the passing game and also the run game. Really had to stay true to the run game because, to be honest, I was scoring a lot of touchdowns in the A gap. That's where, that was my bread and butter. But once I got to the A gap and, got past the second level and got to the third level, it was game over.
When Brody's able to come along and have a type of performance where he's able to kind of dish it out and get things outside a little bit, could you feel that opening some things up for you that much more to just have a level of balance to what y'all were doing?
Oh, yes, sir. Having a quarterback that's able to, throw the ball down the field, get us in good field position, so we can, possibly get a touchdown or get a field goal was great. In that game, all we needed was to get down the field. And when Brody had that assignment, he did it every time.
There's always a lot of, I guess, back and forth, it seems like, with schools up there and public private school and all the different dynamics there. And so we've heard some different chatter since that game, and we'll leave a lot of that alone. But for folks that don't realize, Pop very well. A lot of guys up there, regardless of what schools y'all go to, y'all have grown up together. Y'all played a lot of bootleggers 7-on-7 together and done other sports together, whatever the case may be. To see a guy that that well put up a national record number, what was that like to when you were on defense, try to defend? What was he doing so well in just his sixth start ever of varsity? And what was that like? I know you're happy you got the win on it, but what was it like to see him doing some things that no one else has ever done?
To be honest, me and Pop, we had a conversation like during 7-on-7 season, and we had a little beef going on Shreve and Evangel, and we was talking, and we was just talking trash. He was like, he was gonna break a passing record on us, and I said, "Yeah, you might do that. I'm gonna break a rushing record one way or the other," and he stayed true to that. He stayed true to that. But his game style during that game, he was very evasive in the pocket. We couldn't tackle him. Once he got out the pocket, started running, and he kept his eyes downfield looking for a receiver. It really did us bad. Not gonna lie. He really was like he was rocket. He was rocket all game. Really.
You guys are, I think people are seeing y'all in, to new extents that they haven't seen y'all before, but y'all are very talented athletes that are going to give a lot of people fits through the next few years. For you, we talked in the spring, me, you, and Mom leaving a 7-on-7 tournament about, man, how do we get some of the college stuff picking up a little bit of momentum? And I was really excited to hear from you that it sounds like that has started, that particularly with this past game or just, the start to the season and putting some film out there at running back, some colleges are really starting to take notice in a big way. What has that been like? Who have been some of the schools that have started to reach out a little bit, and how much of a sense of excitement or relief has it been to feel the ball get rolling on the recruiting trail?
So it's a lot. It's very exciting, going from like playing DB where I talked to a few coaches, but it was always like a small, minor thing about my size, playing DB. It was a real struggle. It was a real struggle. But as I, started playing running back, start getting recognition, putting up 250, 100 plus every game, 150 plus, 300 yards and stuff. Coaches been real life looking at me like right now. I had Arkansas Pine Bluff. I have Fayetteville State University, Grambling. I have Arkansas, Oklahoma, Boise State, Baylor, and it was in Arkansas State that have reaching out, really taking up on my game lately.
And they've all been looking now at running back, or they just, now that you're midway through junior year, they're kind of seeing the athleticism and it's getting to the point where they're looking at more 26s in general. What have you kind of heard from them about how they see you as someone that we've seen your level of versatility? How do they see you fitting at the next level potentially with them?
Well, they see me like, they see me, of course, playing running back for them, but they see me as like, being like, that all-star kick returner, punt returner, possibly playing a little slot when not in the backfield, basically just being an all-around threat on the offensive side or with the ball in my hand, basically.
That I'm sure sounds like something that is really as much as you have background doing a lot of different things, you like the sound of that. Get the ball in my hands.
Oh yeah, I love that. I love the sound of that.
What are you hoping that these college coaches get a chance to know about who you are and what you bring to the table, other than obviously seeing some of these huddle clips of what you can do in terms of some of your speed and your shiftiness and those things? Whether it be something else about you behind the scenes as a football player and your work, or just you as a young man. What do you hope that they're getting a chance to know as they start to build that relationship?
My work ethic for the game is really out of the roof, because I love the game of football. I love studying the game of football. I love watching film. I love fixing the things that I had errors about. I love talking to my teammates. I love basically having a team bonding. I love talking to my coaches, and like I just really love everything about the game. Doing everything that help us win, get a playoff run, win a state championship. You know, anything basically.
You hit on some of it with just, what you're hoping to do to be a part of this team and make a deep run. But I wanted to ask you, what is the outlook the rest of the way for the Gators this fall? You guys are on the road this week at Destrehan before bouncing back into 3 district games. And then we'll see kind of where the playoff seeds fall and all those things. But in terms of what you guys have learned about yourselves as a team, and particularly in that overtime shootout this past week, and where y'all are, what are you liking of what you're seeing? What are you guys hoping to kind of build upon and improve, and what is the the ceiling for this team moving forward?
We hoping, to build upon, staying true to like, when we're down by like 30, down by 20, staying true to the game. We just want to keep a positive mindset throughout the majority of our games. Cause I know Destrehan is gonna be a tough game for us. Hopefully, we come out with the win. I ain't gonna say too much about the game, but we most definitely come in, with a killer mindset this game, because we don't do good down south, from what most people say about us up north. So we're trying to change that statement for real this time.
Good deal, man. Well, I think folks in the area should certainly go out there and give you guys a look if they get a chance on Friday night against the Wildcats, and I'm looking forward to seeing you guys at some point as the season continues on.
Yes, sir. Most definitely.
Good deal. Again, he's 2026 standout Jamarcea Plater of that Captain Shreve Gators team that is fresh off the crazy 150 points almost overtime win against Evangel this past week, a member of that crazy 1-5A district. And now it's great to hear that Jamarcea has got some college recruiting momentum picking up, and it's only just the beginning. I expect a lot more this offseason. For Louisiana versus all y'all, Jarrett Roser, thanks to y'all for tuning in.